Channel 9 right now, and YouTube Live. So before we get going, we've got a couple of speeches and a couple of thank yous. So first of all, I want to recognize Kathy Lenatra was going to come tonight. There's been an emergency, but she has sent Sue Moran in her behalf. Hi, Sue. Thank you for that. Thank you to all our speakers tonight. We're expecting great things from you. No pressure. But before we get going, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Peter Brown, would like to say a few words.
Sorry. Thank you.
Does he need to start again?
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter.
Great, because all that stuff that I wasn't supposed to say. All right, so thank you everybody for coming. And the Pembroke Chamber has been very instrumental this past couple of weeks trying to get as much information out there as possible so that you can understand and make an informed decision when we vote. Whether you vote yes or no, hopefully you get all the information that you need so you can make those decisions. I am very blessed to be here in front of you to do this. We're very lucky to have Fraser and all our officials here to be here and speak. So please be respectful and remember they are recording. So when you are going to ask questions or speak from the floor, please be respectful. Now I'd like to bring up Bob DeBazzo, our past chair for the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce, to speak.
I want to thank the Chamber for putting this on, and more so all the other informational sessions they've been having. In the old days, we had 4 newspapers. We don't have any now. And the Chamber has been doing a good job getting information out to people. Fraser has been doing his podcasts, were excellent. He does a great job on it. As a matter of fact, I told him he was kind of like Pembroke's David Frost, for those that remember David Frost. But he's doing a good job, and I'm sure he's going to be in demand before. And I hate to say this, but he did tell me something in confidence, that he just got off a conference call with Disney and ABC, and they want him to replace Jimmy Kimmel. You'll do a good job. Excellent, in all sincerity.
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. He's doing a good job. But he asked me if I want to say a few things about the library and the library project, and kind of just cheating a little, because I did a talk last night in front of the selectmen's meeting, so I'm kind of going to read this again and a few little changes. But I'm Bob DeMarzo, president of the Pembroke Public Library Foundation. With me is Steve Corelli, who is our treasurer, but also he's treasurer of the Chamber. And you find out he's also treasurer of local scene. So he's a very busy man, but he's very dedicated to this community, all his years on finance committee and everything else. He's a great guy. So I wanted to update everyone about the library and the children's room addition. It will consist of about 2,700 square feet, including a large children's reading and program room. We'll also have a local history and archive room, as well as needed storage and bathrooms. The young adult room will be enlarged by 50% by taking over the trustee room, and the trustee meetings will be held in the new history room. There'll be 2 private study rooms in the area of the library entrance, those 2 little alcoves, one of which will be a podcast studio. As for funding, 82% of the needed funds have already been raised by private donations. The majority of that is from a major benefactor family. Until recently, the name has been kept confidential for the past 10 years. That's pretty tough to do. So it finally is leaked out. And you never know what's going to happen. What's going to happen now, when you start now, and the effect is 10 years down the road, or any groups when you volunteer making a positive effect. In anticipation of a town meeting vote, of which the Finance Committee, the Select Board, and the town managers have recommended to approve, there will be no need for borrowing or an override to pay this addition. It will be paid in full. We will be starting fundraising for tables, chairs, equipment, etc., Anyone who wants to donate or dedicate something for a loved one can contact us through the library. Also, you can make out a check, Pembroke Public Library Foundation, Post Office Box 1111, 4 ones. What I really want to talk about tonight is volunteerism, community spirit, and donating for a cause. The Select Board and other boards and committees and many volunteer groups work hard to make our town, our community, the best it can be. A new group of volunteers just organized the Pembroke Foundation for fundraising for various town needs. So, if you're wondering where I'm going with this or when I'm going to stop talking, I have to go back to Pembroke, as it was in 1937, a town of a population of a little over 3,000 people. It was then that Shirley Peterson and his wife Annie moved to Pembroke. They both got involved in the community. Shirley served as town accountant and Annie on the school committee. Shirley joined the military during World War II, and if you're in the veterans room, you can see his name on the board. They started a family, a son, Alan, who was born in 1938, and a daughter, Linda, born in 1941. Don't do the math. Alan went to school in the Hatch building and Linda in the building known as the Old Library. Alan was the first valedictorian of Silver Lake High School system. Alan served on the Pembroke Finance Committee for 9 years and also as its chairman. He later served as selectman for 9 years. I remember him during my first years in town. He was a great selectman. Linda Peterson has served on the Finance Committee for 14 years and is currently the chairperson. She provides strong leadership and is well known and respected in our community. About a dozen years ago, Alan Peterson contacted the Pembroke Public Library Foundation and said he wanted to help fund our goal of an addition to the children's wing. His sister Linda joined in with that commitment, of which they have now donated $1 million. It's in the bank. I think that's the largest donation this town has ever seen in that form. And it's with that generosity and foresight that made this important addition to our community possible. Alan and Linda's commitment to our youth is overwhelming. In each of the past 3 years, they have funded a scholarship for up to $40,000 for each, 2 people in each school, a boy and a girl, Pembroke High and Silver Lake. Alan and Linda are proof that good readers become great leaders. They have shown that every one of us can make a positive difference one way or the other. So now this is the second chance been able to publicly thank Alan and Linda. On behalf of the children of Pembroke, I thank you. And please keep up your good work. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bob. This is not on the topic or the agenda, Linda, but did you want to say a few words or no? Would you like to say a few words or no? It's up to you.
I don't know what I would say.
Well, we are very grateful and we appreciate your donation. Thank you. Okay, on to the main event. So today, let's just run through the agenda that we have. First, we're going to start. We've had the introductions, so that's part of the agenda done. First, we'll hear from Tom Hickey. Tom Hickey is the superintendent of South Shore Technical High School. It's a mouthful, but
we respond to anything, yes.
Okay, so Tom will be going on first. Then we'll hear from Paul Villela. Paul is with the Carpenters Union and went through VoTech education. So we thought it'd be interesting to hear from somebody who's actually gone through this process. Then we will hear from Aaron Obie, who is the Pembroke Schools superintendent. Finally, and not finally, but we'll then hear from the town manager, Bill Chenard, and then we'll open it up to question time, and we have 2 other members of the panel, Melissa Hooley and Sue Bollinger. Sue, you're on the school committee's VoTech subcommittee.
Yeah, I'm the liaison.
Right.
Yeah.
And Melissa, you're just a parent in town.
I'm a parent, but I'm also on the exploratory committee for the VoTech. Yeah.
Terrific. So we feel we have a good team, a good group on the panel to answer any of your questions. But let's start with Tom. Tom, you will be up first, and I didn't put your first slide on because it was just telling us how to get in touch with you.
Okay,
We know how to get in touch with you. So
great.
your first slide is up.
Fantastic. Thanks, Frazier. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for watching at home, and I appreciate your interest in this topic. Your town has been very thoughtful about its future in vocational education, so I wanted to just cherry pick a few topics that I think make our school special. I'm deeply invested in this. I've been at the school since 1994 in a variety of capacities and have had an opportunity to talk to a lot of folks in our district about the importance of vocational education. If you all didn't think it was important one way or another, we wouldn't be having this conversation. One of the jewels in the crown for regional vocational schools is our ability to offer students cooperative education. Because of how we structure our school, students go to a week of academics, and they have a full week in their chosen vocational major. That eventually leads to students who, by the middle of their junior year, could be eligible to go on co-op. The statistics, I won't try not to keep turning around, but the statistics over my head here essentially tell you that co-op is very popular. We have a lot of students who work a lot of hours in their major, and they are able to earn money for whatever comes next in their life. It's proving to be a great opportunity for personal growth. What a way to emphasize soft skills, which we know you could be the best carpenter with no communication skills, and you might soon be the best unemployed carpenter, right? So you need it all, and we want kids to understand that early. And if your teacher starts sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 put them out there, and let's see. And we have a great rate of return. Local employers are very happy. In fact, if you don't mind, Fraser, go to the next slide. We are already part of Pembroke. We're already part of this community, and we have been for a long time. I'm very proud of the fact that our co-op program only works because we have employers willing to partner. And so here are some recent examples of local employers from Pembroke who have hired our students, and we want to continue to grow and strengthen this partnership. We have folks on staff whose primary responsibility is to make sure that the co-op experience is a successful one. Not every student needs to go on co-op. We strongly encourage it. We think it's a great part of the 4-year experience at our school. So that's definitely something, the way that we structure our school curriculum, that we're able to offer this to students. Thank you. Another jewel in the crown is that our students, while they graduate with a high school diploma, and while our academic departments take their jobs very seriously, and our shops do as well, they also leave with what we shorten and we call them IRCs. That's the jargon, industry recognized credentials. It's diploma plus. They're leaving with a credential that the industry recognizes as that they have obtained a certain skill or a bundle of skills. And that makes them more marketable on minute one, if not sooner, when they graduate. So for most of the program, for our programs that are represented here, in our new school, we'll be adding to this list plumbing and veterinary science. And ultimately, you're either earning hours toward a license or you're able to sit for a certification. And this is what we've been able to embed in the program. Thank you. Yeah, and just to make sure that I'm not reinforcing the unfair one-dimensional stereotype, this is a list of colleges who have accepted our students in the past year. Doesn't mean they all went to these schools, but they applied and they had the transcript, they had the grades, they had the experiences to get in. So whatever the image of vocational education from, if you want to say back in the day, it was unfair then, it's unfair now, and hopefully most folks have put that to bed, that it's a terminal education, you got to pick one. World isn't like that anymore. And so our students are killing it in this category here as well, in terms of their ability to get accepted to schools, if they see that as the next step in their path. We also send kids to national competitions. One of them is called Skills USA. Kids at Silver Lake, kids at South Shore, regional schools all around the state compete. We've had success at the state level and the national level. Our horticulture landscape program has also been involved. On the next slide, Fraser, we have the Future Farmers of America, and they've done quite well. They just recently competed at the Big E out in Springfield and secured several awards. So we need to build more trophy cases. We've got a carpentry shop that can take care of that, Paul. We're good.
Right.
We're good. But what a great feeling to know that when skills are put to the test, it's not MCAS, it's real world, and you've got to be the best. And our kids compete each and every time they're out there. Thank you. And then the last few slides, if you're looking for another return on investment, another way that the real-world curriculum shows up is that we partner with our towns. And while there's no one bullet above my head here that's more important than the other, but in every one of our communities, I am constantly asking our departments and our towns, where can we partner? Not only might we be able to deliver on building this, repairing this, clearing this in a way that's more affordable, but you are giving our students, younger than co-op age, if you will, the ability to do something that is real. You can't put 3 tires out of 4 back on the car, get a C+, and move on. The world doesn't operate that way. Kids need to understand that you're actually doing work for a nonprofit organization that doesn't have a lot of money, or a town department that could use some additional assistance when maybe the money doesn't show up at a spring town meeting. So on these additional slides here, thanks, Fraser, the next slide. Again, the list, the opportunities are endless. And because our little towns in our region do have to try to become creative when we talk about financing, whether it's private donations for a library wing or anything else, we are a player, we are a partner. We want to partner with our towns. If we're going to use supplies, we can have it be toward a project that's actually going to have durability and a lasting footprint in a particular community. So I would expect nothing less than, as we've just welcomed in Marshfield. We've got a long list of projects we're trying to work on, and we would hope to do the same with Pembroke should that come about. I think, Fraser, that's, again, the list goes on and on. Yes, you can look this over. We do a lot of stuff. And yes, and this is an image of what our new school will look like. If you're familiar with South Shore, this is going to be on our athletic fields in the back. Same address. They're going to build it in the back. So starting this spring, they'll start to put in some construction lanes, and then they start work in June of '26, and we'll be open for the 28-29 school year, and we will be the perennial away sports team for the next several years. Anybody got a field for several years? But that's sometimes the cost of progress, but that's what we're going to do. And I live in Hanson, so I'm through Pembroke Center all the time, and I'm quite inspired by the look of your community building. And so this has a farmhouse theme, which fits into North Hanover. So it's prefabricated concrete, but we're going to make it look, don't squint and you'll think it's a real farmhouse. But it's much more cost effective to do that. So anyway, that's where we're headed. 900 students. We've got about 700, just under 700 students now. Thanks for listening. Happy to answer questions when the panel is done. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to ask a question before we open it up. How many square foot?
This is about 250,000 square feet. It's about double. We have about 120,000 square foot ranch right now.
Right. Okay. And does that double the amount of students?
It would not. No. Well, it won't double it. What it does is it most importantly increases the square footage for our shops.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Okay. I think you actually did put another slide in there. That's not the building already started, is it?
Oh, yeah. That is, again,
that is. Okay.
No, actually, that was at the time a greenhouse that our kids were building for our horticulture program on site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Typical day.
Thank you very much, Tom. So, Paul, we move to you. I'm just get going. You give me the nod when you want to move on.
Yeah, that's the one. Great. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name's Paul Villela. I'm a business representative with the Carpenters Union, long name, North Atlantic States, blah, blah, blah. What it means is we cover 7 states, all 6 New England states, and New York, except for the 5 boroughs of New York City. That's its own district council. We have roughly 30,000 members and about 2,000 plus apprentices. It varies year to year, but right in that range. And we get hundreds, actually probably thousands, we almost get hundreds within Eastern Massachusetts of applications for our apprenticeship every year with the carpentry program. We'll do the next one. Okay, so our apprenticeship program builds real skills for a long life career. It's a combination from the Carpenters Union and partnership with our building contractors. it's joint venture. It blends classroom learning with on-the-job learning. So what the apprentices do is they go to school for a week, 4 times a year to get those industry certifications and learn like fall protection, safety things, the OSHAs if they don't have OSHA, and then on the job site is where they get the majority of their training. They get it from working under journey persons, foremen that help them learn with that buy-in from the general contractor or the subcontractor. The goal is to train the most qualified, versatile, productive carpenters. In our case, carpenters. The program works pretty much across the board for the building trades that we can do. So we train them specifically in our apprenticeship program. We train them in residential and commercial carpentry, and we have specialty trades that their 4 years of apprenticeship would be just with those specialty trades. And there's floor covering, there's pile driving, and then there's millwrights. Normally, it's about a 4-year apprenticeship. It's hours-based, but normally takes about 4 years to become a journey person. Okay, so that top one I find important. Vocational and apprenticeship programs create real career paths for young people, especially those who don't see college as the right choice. Not for everyone. A lot of them do go from vocational schools to college, but when we get them, it's really good when they've gone to vocational schools, and I'll explain. So having the opportunity to go to a vocational school is important for our young people. Why? Because vocational school students get the foundation they need to be successful in the trades. They get the skills, the safety training, and the knowledge to be productive right from day one. They hit the ground running. They show up to the job better prepared, hands down, and it also makes them better applicants for our apprenticeship program, which leads me back to my first slide, which we get hundreds of applications every year. And just like any organization or any company, we're going to try to look for the best of the best because we can't take in everyone. So we're going to try to pick the best ones that we think will be successful to be our members. Hands down, year after year, participants who've gone and graduated through vocational schools, hands down, make it through our apprenticeship better, more productive, and end up making great journey person carpenters. I'll give you one example from a South Shore VoTech graduate from years ago. His name is Keith Rice. He's one of my stewards, and if you don't know what a steward is, he's the union representative on the job site. He's a working carpenter. Usually works right within where the foreman, all the carpenters are working. But if there's any issues on the job or safety concerns or anything, that's who people bring it to, and then in turn, he would either resolve it or contact me or one of my colleagues. Anyways, it's a job that takes being intelligent, because you have to understand our contract, our collective bargaining. You have to be articulate in order to explain and talk to superintendents, project managers, and just carpenters in general. And you have to be a qualified carpenter, a very versatile qualified carpenter. So Keith graduated years ago from South Shore VoTech. He's our steward over at Quincy Public Safety Building. Anyone who's gone to Quincy, headed towards Wollaston Beach, you've hopefully seen that new large public safety building, $100 million building that's being put up, public safety. It being built by Suffolk, one of our big signatory contractors, who will actually be building South Shore Vocational Tech, our premier contractor, in my opinion. But he's there. He's been there for a year plus, year and a half, however long it's been, and he's just so well-rounded, and he's a graduate of this. And with that story, there's hundreds, if not thousands more, throughout the Commonwealth through vocational programs. So I'm obviously in favor of them. I sit on the advisory board for the carpentry shop at South Shore VoTech. Their instructors are top-notch. One of them, Ed Costas, was a former member who chose to become an instructor. And they're, our young people are in good hands at vocational, and then hopefully we get to grab some of them afterwards. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So we've had the selling part of the presentation, the Tom and Paul. Erin, I'm sorry, you're going to have to do the finances.
No worries.
Okay.
So I have been fortunate enough to give this presentation maybe 5 or 6 times, and there's plenty of familiar faces in the audience. I just want to clarify that I always use the same slides so that the message and the information that's being shared is consistent across all of those. I've never been joined by anybody else that's presenting, so you will see some overlap between what Tom shared as well as what I think Bill is going to share, so I won't spend a ton of time on that. But one other point of reference is, yes, you've heard a little bit of a sales pitch from Tom and Paul. As a public employee, I will not be making a sales pitch. I will just be sharing with you factual information and hopefully be able to answer any questions that you have related to school enrollment, our current course offerings, and those type of things.
Terrific. So I'll kick you off. If you want to skip any slide because you feel it's duplication.
I think you're already ahead, so we're good. Looking at the education offered at South Shore Tech in comparison to Pembroke High School, our philosophy is always educating the full child. And that doesn't just mean academics. It means extracurriculars and sports offerings. On this slide, you can see, in addition to academics, South Shore Tech clearly has the vocations that Tom outlined, but they also have very similar offerings for our students as far as athletics and extracurriculars, making sure that students feel connected to the building that they're in, whether that building is Pembroke High School or South Shore Tech, was a very important piece to our research when we were. So just making sure that there was ample offerings for students, whether they were attending Pembroke High School or South Shore Tech. Yep. Before I go into this, there was, I think, one slide before that you may have deleted, but just wanted to talk a little bit about the current member towns for South Shore Tech. I know that Tom mentioned that Marshfield is a new member, but there are 8 other member towns for South Shore Tech: Abington, Cohasset, Hanover, Hanson, Norwell, Rockland, Situate, Whitman, and then again Marshfield. From that list, you'll notice that Pembroke is clearly missing, and there are 3 other South Shore communities that are missing: Hingham, Duxbury, and Hull. We are the only 4 communities that are not currently part of a regional school district for vocational education. My understanding is that Hull did explore the process a few years ago. They were not successful in getting the project through the necessary votes and to get to the point of membership. We have had some conversations with the superintendent both in Duxbury and Hingham. There's nobody in the pipeline at the point we are in, but there is some interest, I believe, in Hingham as well. So that there's a new superintendent in Hingham, and she did reach out to kind of learn about what we did, what worked, and what didn't work. But at this point, Pembroke is the only one in the pipeline, right?
Correct.
So I have been in Pembroke for 15 years. This is my 11th year as superintendent. And in my time here, there has definitely been some ebbs and flows in historical vocational enrollment. There have been times where we've had up to 86 students enrolled, and times as close to this year where I think we'll have 19 for this current school year. So again, there's been some changes to the admission policy. There's been changes in access just as far as interest from member communities. And consistently in the past 15 years, we have talked as a school district, both internally and at the school committee level, about what can we do to explore additional offerings for students, whether that's offering programs at Pembroke High School, whether that's partnering with local vocational schools. I know a few years back, Tom and I met with Josh Cutler and talked about joining way back, I think in 2013, I think it was the time that we last spoke about that. So these have been ongoing conversations, but I do think the change in the admission policy has really forced the issue for us in Pembroke, and there is really very little to no access for our students currently.
Sorry, Erin, do you mind if I just ask a question? Because I think it's important. You put up a slide here of the last 15 years of admissions. This is Pembroke.
This is the number of Pembroke students enrolled in each of those schools for those subsequent years.
Why are they going away? Why are they no longer Do they still have access to these?
So they still have access to the agricultural schools. That has not changed.
Okay.
The admission policy for Chapter 74, traditional vocational schools, has shifted slightly in the past few years to now require that all of the students that meet the minimum requirements from a member town must be admitted before any students from a non-member town. So previously, Pembroke was able to take advantage of a non-member town tuition or seat in those schools such as Silver Lake or South Shore Tech. At this point, there's no more available seats because there's far more students that meet the minimum entrance criteria in the member towns than there are seats available.
Okay. I think that's worth clarifying. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Next slide.
Sure. So it's not just about the students that got in. For us, it's looking at what is the interest, what number of students in our current 8th grades have been looking to get into vocational school. And so you can see there's been a pretty hefty interest for our students. As we've gone through some of the years post-COVID, it has increased definitely more. The past couple of years, fewer students have enrolled because that they know that there are no seats. But generally, we are seeing an interest from about 20 to 22% of our 8th grade students looking to apply to an alternate type high school education.
Was that the slide
Yep.
you've just been? So move on.
Yep.
Okay.
So what would it look like if we were to join South Shore Tech? So South Shore Tech enrollment is based off proportion seats, and they take a look at historical enrollment for multiple years in order to proportion those seats. I know that Tom did mention that the new building would open in the fall of 28. We are looking to join in the fall of 27. So that means our first group of students would be entering South Shore Tech in the old building. So we have talked with Tom in the regional committee at South Shore Tech in trying to figure out how could we get students in the fall of 27. And at this point, for that class and that class only, we'd have 10 seats. And then once the new building opened, we'd have our proportional share of seats. And you can see from the slide here that ranges anywhere from 17 to 23, 24, depending upon our historical enrollment. So at full enrollment, when we have 4 full years of students in the new building at South Shore Tech, we could have up to 84 students.
Can we wait until all the presentations are done? And then we will have open question time at this mic. So I'll call upon you.
So the process for Pembroke to join is a 3-part process for us here. There would be one vote that would be happening this fall, and that vote would be to enter into a regional agreement with South Shore Tech to become a member town. And then there's 2 parts to the funding piece that would happen in the spring. Part 2 of the vote is a debt exclusion override for the beautiful new building that Tom showed you the rendering of. And then part 3 is the operational override to fund the costs associated with sending students to South Shore Tech. We currently have 0 students attending South Shore Tech. Again, to build that up to 84 students would require some additional funds in our operating budget. So here we are, part 1, the fall of 2025. So we have been working with the regional planning committee. That includes myself, Bill, Melissa, Sue, some of our building principals. Tom visits us quite frequently to share his expertise, to really work through what changes would need to happen to the regional agreement in order for it to be worthwhile for Pembroke to join. So figuring out what is our proportion of seats, what is our share of the debt, what does it look like to buy into their stabilization, how new debt is assigned, how capital costs are figured out. So all of that translates to a multi-page document that we have been working on for the past couple of months. That document then goes to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for approval, and then each of the current member towns will then vote to see if they would like Pembroke to join. So our Part 1 vote is scheduled for October 21st. I believe it's Article 6. Yeah, I think you were renumbering last night when I listened. So Article 6 is asking the town of Pembroke if they want to join South Shore Tech. And by join, we mean enter into a regional agreement. By doing it in the fall, it allows the other member towns to have their spring town meetings and ask their voters that same question. Are you interested in Pembroke joining?
Sorry.
Yeah.
What are the chances of them saying no? The member towns rejecting our request to join?
You would need 6 out of the 9 communities to say yes by a simple majority vote at town meeting, plus of course, Pembroke.
Yeah.
Chances, I would, our regional planning subcommittee is recommending this to our full school committee, but otherwise, I would be.
Yeah.
In our
get my crystal
planning,
ball.
right? In our planning committee, we've talked a lot about how to package it in the way that makes the most sense for those that are currently member communities, right? If you are a current resident in Hanover or in Hanson and you have access to 35 seats and Pembroke joins and you're only going to have access to 32 seats, how does that feel? When you're then told your share of the building project is X, but if Pembroke joins, your share would be Y. So really trying to figure out the best way to package it. And I think what we kind of came up with as a group is that timing our admittance with the new building is very helpful. Also, as each of the member towns are starting to talk about the debt exclusions necessary in their towns for the building project, it's helpful to say, by bringing on Pembroke, 10.17% of the debt share will go to them. So giving them a little, I think you call it a haircut, Tom.
Yes.
A haircut on their building project.
It's a luxury for me to talk about that, yes, haircuts. But we did the same thing with Marshfield, Fraser. We also, when we were bringing this building project to our communities, Marshfield was just joining, and that was part of the calculus. It was, these are expensive projects, and so bringing in roommates to help pay the rent isn't a bad idea, because it's not just about the building. It is also about having partners to sustain operating budgets, to grow a building with staff and shops and equipment, et cetera. So the focus is the building, but the long game is having enough partners from our region to support operating budgets as well.
Got it. Erin, do you want me to move
Yep,
on?
next slide. So the next two votes would happen in the spring. The first vote, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. It's a debt exclusion override for our share of the building project. We did, the last time we ran our numbers was the spring of 2025, and I think Bill's going to talk a little bit more about the debt piece. But at that time, with the estimated project costs that Tom had, our share of the building would be about $20 million. So taking a look at interest rates, and I do understand and appreciate that those fluctuate over time. Again, something in Bill's wheelhouse that he's going to talk about. We calculated the increase to the tax base on the average household to be anywhere from $156 to $168 for our share of the debt associated with the new building. The next slide is the third part of the vote, which is the operational override. So as I said, there are costs in addition to the new building that we would be incurring in order to send students there. We are currently not sending any students there. Again, at full enrollment, we could have 84 plus students there by the fall of 2033, I think is the math there. So really needing to build that back into our operational budget, the cost associated with some of the tuition pieces. As an established regional school district, South Shore Tech has a stabilization fund already. We would need to buy into that stabilization fund as well. And as capital costs start to arise after the new building, that would be built into our tuition piece. So making sure that the operating budget for Pembroke Public Schools supports sending students to vocational education while still supporting the students that are enrolled in Pembroke Public Schools.
Total cost.
Yep, the last slide is just an overview of those couple of pieces. Again, the cost associated with the building, $20 million over 3 years. There's a range there of what the property tax
3 or
increase-
30? Sorry, Erin.
Sorry?
You said 3 years.
I'm sorry, 30.
30, thank you.
30 years. Debt exclusions are generally 30 years. Then the operational override could range anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million. Again, that's about a $282 increase on the average property tax bill. The stabilization account that I spoke of earlier is not necessarily an increased cost to the taxpayer because we would have some flexibility in those first couple of years of the operational override before we get to full enrollment. So again, the total implication is anywhere from $438 to $450 over the time of the loan based off of the average value home of $601,000, which I'm sure has changed. But
Hasn't yet.
okay.
It will this fall.
So the vote at this fall town meeting of really polling the community to see if they're interested in joining is contingent upon both the debt exclusion override and an operational override passing in the spring. So without the funding, we cannot join. That has also been made clear to, or will continue to be made clear to the member towns as they're starting to talk about Pembroke joining, knowing that Pembroke, if we vote yes in the fall, still is contingent upon the funding pieces that will happen in the spring.
I feel there are some questions. However, we'll get to the question. I've got some questions from the town that have been emailed in. But thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So, Bill, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Okay,
I'm
good.
going to actually walk around, though.
You are?
Yeah, I like to walk around when I speak.
Take your microphone with you. All right.
Shake it up a little.
Good for you. You let me know when you want the next.
Go ahead, I'm ready. Let's roll.
There's your first slide.
So just a quick overview of what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to basically dive in a little bit to the building construction costs and how that affects the debt curves. Going to talk about operational costs and how that affects the town's budget and debt curves, that being tuition and transportation. And then I'll talk about stabilization. You're going to see a trend here because the superintendent and I have very similar slides. So just a quick discussion on construction costs. As a member town, we are responsible for our share of those construction costs. The superintendent alluded to what that would be. It's an estimated at $20 million. I'll note that could go up or down. I'll give you a really good example. We estimated our total costs for our public safety buildings at just over $61 million. It isn't going to be $61 million. It's going to be less. So we're excited about that. So it could go down. Unfortunately, it could go up too. You just don't know until you actually get the bids in.
Bill, do you just want to share with everybody how that's calculated, that 20 million?
So the 20 million is the total construction costs for the South Shore VoTech School, less your MSBA reimbursement rate, which the state kicks in, Massachusetts School Building Authority, sorry, I use acronyms, but MSBA. So they'll take that off the top of the total cost, then they'll divide that amongst the share for all the communities, our share being just over 10%, making it approximately today a $20 million cost.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So for us, we need to fund that through debt exclusion. I don't know any community of any of our neighbors that wouldn't. We're not like some of the communities in the rest of the country that don't have that Prop 2.5 cap. So we would have to do that, have to ask the voters for additional funds on top of our Proposition 2.5 cap. Debt exclusion, it does exactly that. It adds the portion of the building cost to the tax levy. Good thing about a debt exclusion is when the debt's paid, it comes off the tax levy. It doesn't stay there forever. So I just said that. Okay, next slide. So some debt factors, what drives the debt and what we pay based upon debt. Obviously the terms are based on Mass General Law. As Superintendent already noted, for buildings of this size, we typically would look at a 30-year term. Interest rate, that's market driven. So our bond rating is a major factor in that. I'm pleased to say Pembroke has a very good bond rating. We have taken steps to maintain that and even are aggressively going to try to improve that. The higher your bond rating, the lower your interest rate. So that's, I want to say it's similar to when you have a mortgage, the higher, but it's not exactly, it doesn't exactly work that way. Municipal bonding is slightly different. So I don't want to compare the two. Obviously the principal amount, we know the principal amount, $20 million, that's the amount we're going to borrow. And then the debt structure. There's different ways we can structure debt as a municipal government. You can use a level payment structure, which is similar to your home mortgages if you have them, or you can use a level principal structure where the principal amount that you pay every single year remains the same, but the interest rate over the term actually drops because you're paying off your principal much quicker. So on all of our smaller projects, I always recommend a level principal factor because you pay it off, and with level principal, you pay less interest over time. With the larger projects, such as a major school, we will look at level payments. When you get schools in the hundreds of millions of dollars, you want to keep it. What happens with level principal, you have very high payments up front. Actually, go to the next slide for me. Sure. So you can see the two curves here for this building. The level principal curve is the blue line, and you can see that it starts out at $214 and ends at $96 on that average household. Or you have level payment, which is the $167 or $168 across the board. But if you look at those two curves and the average payment on each of those, your average payment for level principal is slightly less money. Next slide. So here's a couple notes I want to make. We are carrying on our curves based on information from our financial advisors, 4.25%. A 1% drop on a level payment structure represents about $4.1 million. So we can actually save a substantial amount if we get a 1% drop. I will note that the indicators are that the interest rates are going to fall. Not aggressively, but they're going to fall. We just borrowed 40 some odd million dollars at roughly 3.8%. So interest rates likely will fall. Can't guarantee that, which is why I put the other side up there. If they go up, it's an increase. Next slide. So this is a level, same story with the level principal. Obviously with level, that's level payment. Sorry about that, that's mislabeled. Level payment, same story, and the reason I know it's level payment is because you're up or down are the same savings or same increase. So next slide. So operational costs, the superintendent already went through a lot of this. I'll just go through it quickly. If we get an average of 21 seats a year, that's about 84 students total over as we go through the grades. The average member cost at this time when we did this, and you can see Norwell was the highest, Whitman was the lowest, which is just over $16,000. Sped improvements, obviously we're going to have to pay those costs. It's important that we do that. Transportation costs, want to note that when we're all full, it's likely 2 buses. That goes up typically, but so does we get new growth. Taxes go up, unfortunately. And then at full enrollment, that's about a $1.5 to $2 million cost per year. Next slide.
So the full enrollment is 84.
That's based on our numbers today.
And how many years will it take to get to 84?
5. So the first year, because we're going to be joining when it's in the old building, we'll just have 10 seats. Then the next 4 years, we would have roughly 20 to 21 seats per
So it's
year.
accelerating from the 10. Okay, thank you.
Next slide. Just a final note. We're still several months away. We're using the best known information we have today. As the information gets tighter, their cost estimates come in, their bids come in. We're going to be able to get really close on our estimates. Once we know those factors, we can figure out, probably within $10 where those tax dollars are going to be for the average resident. And I know you're building out so that you can actually put your own assessment in and know exactly what your impact is. So I just want to highlight that too, because that's really important. It's awesome, so everybody understands exactly what their impact is. Because yes, there's an average, but unfortunately that average is probably 1 or 2 houses in the town. So, some people are up above that and some people are below that. So next slide, I think that's it, right?
That's it. We are at this slide.
All right.
You can take your seat. Thank you, Bill.
Fraser, I think at this point, it's really important to let people know that the slides that Erin did are on the Pembroke Public Schools website.
Sure.
And if
Absolutely.
anybody wants to look at the numbers, you can just go to the Pembroke Public Schools website, and there's a tab specifically for vocational education. So.
And what we will do as a chamber is we will put the entire presentation that you've seen tonight on the Chamber of Commerce's website. We will also put the recording of tonight up there as well. So there's a way to review and rewatch. Treasurer's phone's ringing. So this is question time. This is your opportunity to come up to the mic and ask the panel any question. But before we introduce the opportunity for the members that are here tonight, I just want to run through the questions that we've received on our website and just fire these off at the panel. So the first question is, what happens to Chapter 70 if, and I'm guessing, I haven't edited these questions. This is as they came in. I have worked with whoever was sending in the question to say, can we have more clarity? However, so if the number of students attending the vocational school, so I think I understand that question. Do you?
Sure.
Okay.
I think I understand it.
So can you answer it?
So when students enroll in a vocational school, they're still Pembroke students. So they still show up in our Chapter 70 formula. The way Chapter 78 is determined, the base for that calculation is your foundation budget and your foundation enrollment. Those students are still part of our foundation enrollment. Therefore, our Chapter 70 calculation includes an allowance for those students that are attending vocational school. So I do not anticipate a very large change in our Chapter 70, even at full enrollment.
So I have asked this question of Bill as well. So when we get full enrollment, we have 84 students attending. I think the question is, do we lose the funding for those 84 students from the state? No, so we still get the funding, but then we're transferring it to...
Our share of cost is then figured out. It's never, my understanding is it's never exactly what the foundation enrollment formula says the vocational student tuition would be, but that is worked out through the local agreements, and that is assessed to us as part of our local assessment. So the funds still come to Pembroke, and then we give them out to South Shore Tech.
Is that your understanding, Tom?
The Chapter 70 formula is extremely complicated, but if you were to go to the DESE website and search for Chapter 70, you can find a municipal page, a page for each municipal.
This is Pembroke's.
Yeah. And Erin has Pembroke. So if you looked at any of our other member communities, you would find a breakdown of what Erin was talking about. You'd see the vast majority of the public school kids in Town X are in the home district.
Right.
And then there's a sliver. We have a column for South Shore. And so over the years, we've tried to find some ways to be able to break that down. But essentially, it will show you what is Pembroke's ability to pay toward public education. That's what the foundation budget does. And at a minimum, then the formula says, okay, this is how much needs to be spent on public education, how much will be covered by the local municipality, and how much will then be backfilled with Chapter 70. Having students enrolled in vocational schools, the Chapter 70 formula anticipates about 54, it changes, but there's probably about a $5,400 per student difference. I'm throwing numbers at you, but what I'm saying is
Higher
that...
or lower?
Higher.
Right,
More,
okay.
right, more expensive. But that is what the state factors in, and then they backfill with aid what the town's ability to pay is. That's why if you looked at the per pupil cost for our other member towns, you would see a wide range. You might see some per pupil costs $11,000 or $12,000 a student, and others getting closer to $19,000. That's based mostly on the Chapter 70 formula. When you get into things like paying for capital or transportation, those are based on student headcount, which has nothing to do with the formula. So there's more to be, there's certainly, this is a separate forum just on Chapter 70, certainly, but the numbers are there. It certainly takes some time to tease them out, though.
Okay. If this is voted in, will the property taxes increase to join I'm guessing that's South Shore VoTech, take effect around the same time as the town's safety buildings tax hike to Pembroke homeowners? So I guess that's for you, Bill.
So the answer is some of it, but most of the public safety building costs will already be on the tax bill the year before that we start this and paying for this. So there obviously would be overlap for many years after that point, but we're joining in the 27, so the first step payments will be 28, and all of your public safety stuff will be likely on board before that. Those projects will be completed.
Right, but there's going to be like a 3-year overlap. Public safety will kick in 3 years before the South Shore VoTech kick
Public
in.
safety's kicked in already.
Kicked in, right.
We've borrowed $35 million for the public safety building. We're anticipating we'll borrow likely another 25 and a half. So it's already kicking in. We'll borrow the rest of that likely next year, and then after that, we'll borrow the South Shore VoTech, and the payments will be first payments that I anticipate for South Shore VoTech, because there's a period in there, will be the end of 27, 28.
And
Right.
do we have debt dropping off as well? We have the.
And I'm talking fiscal years now, not calendar years, because
Sure.
we budget and do everything within a fiscal year. And yes, there is debt dropping off.
That's the school roof, is it, Sue?
It's not the
There's-
school roof. It's school construction. So it's
Right.
about $1 million that falls off in fiscal year 27 from those large renovation and remodeling projects that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Exactly.
You're coming back, right? Yeah, okay, good.
So Yeah, so to the 27, 28 period, it's just over $1 million. It's actually about $1.5 million.
So I would imagine most residents would like to know what you think the number is.
What I think the number is?
Right.
For
So we've
what?
got $450 tax increase for South Shore VoTech initiative. Then we've got, what can you tell us about the tax hike? They said tax hike, tax increase for this public safety building.
So we had originally estimated, I forget the exact numbers, we are currently estimating just under $600.
600
Just under $600, yes.
for the public safety building.
Yes.
So
On
plus,
that average household.
Right.
Just make sure that's accurate. So, yes, when we're fully ramped up, it's just under $600.
so we're looking at
Is the
over
current
$1,000 per household for the initiative of the public safety. And I'm not trying to decide or sway anyone, but South Shore VoTech, public safety, $1,000 a household.
Rough math, yes.
Well, it's pretty good math, actually. 400
No
plus
decimal
600.
places for each of them. And then the debt falls.
I'm going to move on to the next question.
Yeah.
It'll help.
So this question, I don't know what the question is, but it says, please make it clear. The bottom line has not been accurately determined as Hanover is not bonded.
I think that's the point that Bill was making, is that the construction costs are not finalized yet. We do know that our share of the debt will be 10.17%, but we just don't know what that total number is yet.
Right.
And just to be sure that we're accurate, Hanover is bonded. There isn't a bond out for South Shore VoTech because they haven't bonded the project yet.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I don't actually know the name of the person that asked that question, but I'm sure if they're watching tonight, that's been made clear. If Pembroke were to buy into South Shore VoTech, is it my understanding that the first 4 years only, approximately 14 students a year will be accepted? After those 4 years, only then will we get the number of students accepted going to the estimate. So I think that question's actually been answered.
Right, and just to clarify, for the 27-28 school year, it would be 10 seats because they're in the old building, and then as we move into the new building for the fall of 28 and moving forward, we will get our proportion share of seats, which based off of our historical enrollment is anywhere from 20 to 21 or 22 seats, getting us to the 84 once we're
Got
in
it.
the new building.
I thought I saw a high of 23, but
There was 1 year that it was 23, but
Yeah.
that's a multi-year rolling
Yeah,
average.
that analysis was taking a look at current K-12 enrollments and pretending that those cohorts of students would be frozen in time. So
Yeah.
it's trending. I think the numbers are trending. It's not exact. And we have some communities that don't use all of their seats, and we reapportion open seats. So where there are communities with excess demand, there's an opportunity to spread that capacity back to towns that have excess demand.
terrific. Thank you.
Including the first year, there might be 1 or 2 seats, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So we're going to open it up now to the floor, and I believe you, sir, you had a question. Yes, please. And be aware.
How's it going?
Hello,
Thanks for
Chris.
having
You
me.
could just
Good
have
to see you.
your name and
Good to see you.
address, and then
Chris Graham, 271 Water Street.
Thank you.
Pembroke. Thanks for putting this on and clarifying everything. My question's semi-redundant potentially, but I think we just got it clarified. Erin, you had mentioned that there's 10 seats the first year, and then there's a general pool if those other seats from other towns aren't all taken. My question was, would we be able to pull from that pool?
Yeah, so in that first
Yes.
year, the regional agreement states that we would be available to scoop up any seats based off of the formula that weren't used by the member town. So in reality, that's potentially maybe 1 or 2 seats, depending upon how many extra seats are left on the table by a Cohasset or a Norwell.
Right. I mean, from back in the day, Hanover and Situate were communities that wouldn't fill their allotments. That has changed. And so in recent history, Cohasset and Norwell have been are really our only 2 communities that have not taken the seats. So I would casually say maybe 15 seats per year. And to Erin's point, we have a very detailed system for how we would reapportion that. So I would say the outside line might be you pick up 1 point something, round it to 2 extra seats.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Anybody else got a question? Welcome.
I just wanted to clarify. It's an anticipated $450 per year added tax bill per year specifically for the schools. For the school piece, the whole thing encompasses. So when we break that down to 84 students, that's an actual cost of $5.87 per student that we're investing as individuals by house. $6 per household we would be investing to get to that $450 tax. That's not a lot of money.
If your
for the
house is worth
education of our
600,000,
future.
if it's
Okay,
worth
and if
more,
it's
you pay
less,
more.
then
If you
it's
pay,
less.
is that correct? Have I got that understood that correctly?
I didn't hear you, Fraser.
So
Sorry. I heard
that's
her.
for the average home at 601,000.
Correct.
If your price is, if your house is worth less or more,
Less or more.
it goes up or down. But yes,
But when you look at the big numbers, you throw it up and you get to 1,000, it looks a lot. But if you break it down, what is the value of the opportunity for a student to go to get a VoTech education? $5.87. That makes a lot more sense.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I forgot to remind you to give us your name and address, but no, you've already spoken, so that's fine. Okay,
I'm sorry, Jean Comfort, 29 Adams Ave.
thank you very much, Jean.
Hi, good evening. My name is John Cody. I live at 238 Oldham Street. I think everything that's going on here is great with what you're looking to provide to the children here in Pembroke. I'm a business rep from the Sheet Metal Workers Local 17. I'm a graduate of Blue Hills Regional High School. I grew up in Braintree. I've been in Pembroke for a few years now. I have a child that is in the Pembroke school system now, freshman in high school. I have no benefit whatsoever having my child already in it now. But this is an opportunity of a lifetime for anybody that is going to get into the construction trades or the training unions, open shop, mom and pop shops within the town. I've had 3 jobs in my life. I delivered newspapers, I pumped gas, and I've been a sheet metal worker for the last 34 years. This is an ultimate, very small sacrifice for the taxpayers of this town to take care of our children. So I thank you and I commend you all. And actually, I speak to the metal fab kids at South Shore VoTech every year, and all the trade schools.
That's a very popular.
through
Isn't Metal Fab very
Very, one of our most
Diamond,
popular.
Bristol, Plymouth, every school in the state. Also on the Somerville Advisory Committee for the CTE program there. So it's very important to make sure that these kids have the training. There is a workforce shortage of people that can still build. I mean, AI is not going to be there they're not going to build you buildings. We still need workers to build the buildings.
As I said yesterday on WATD, AI can't twist a wrench.
No, absolutely not.
Not yet.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hi there.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
173 High Street, business agent, Blazes Glass, Burgers, local 1044. I'm here today to be a proponent for membership, as well as bring awareness to the labor shortage. And John just kind of knocked me off my feet a little bit, that we're facing. I challenge everyone to get familiar with the 41 by 2031 study. And what that is, that's a study that shows that within 6 years, 41% of the workforce is going to be retiring. So I'm fortunate to be part of an organization that just invested $20 million into a training facility out 120 Stedman Street in Lowell. And we realized that the only way we're going to get out of this is to train our way out of it. So sorry, just going to end it with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you just, what was that? Come back.
Yes, sir.
What was the
41
By 30.
by 2031.
You know about this? Okay, thank you.
Any news outlet, look it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Elaine?
Eileen Flashman, 23 School Street. Erin knows what I'm going to ask. So yes, when you talked about in your section about the operational override, had a range of 1.75 to 2 million, but you only had one amount for what would be. So what's the range of that truly?
It's the $2 million, so it's
Oh,
the
so that's
high
a 2
end.
million.
That's
Okay,
the worst
that's
case
great to know.
scenario. Yep.
That wasn't clear. Thank
Yep,
you.
sorry. I wrote down that I was going to say it.
Hi, I'm Tony Leonito. I live in Pembroke. This will pass. In order to convince us to vote this in, you have to answer a couple of questions. Are we going to have a penalty for pulling out of our existing system with Silver Lake? If yes, just let us know. The second question is, if we're allowed into the community, I think we'll be the 10th community? Okay.
Correct.
So will our share of the new construction be 1/10 of that? Or are we buying into some of the equity in the old building? Let us know. Don't hide it, don't mask it. And then when we're done with paying that off, do we still have the same number or an equity share of the placements as compared to our sister towns? And if that can be all answered and let us know openly before we come to a vote, you're going to have a lot more cooperation. Because a lot of people want this, we need this, but we don't want another system created that we escaped to create our Pembroke Community School System, where we shared 3/4 of the cost with 1/4 of the say-so. So that's what drove us to create Pembroke schools. So if you can come with those answers, that would be great.
I could tackle number 2.
Go ahead.
So debt. I'll half a step back. Last year, we went back to our member towns prior to the vote on our building.
Yep.
And we passed an amendment that changed in our regional agreement how debt is apportioned. Since the school opened in '62, the language talked about a fixed share, and that caused great concern for communities that today might be oversubscribed, but
Okay.
later on, you could see dips in enrollment. So our regional agreement talks about using a 4-year rolling average. So everybody is paying a share. We try to avoid the spikes
Yep.
and the valleys. So it's not set up fixed. That allows every community to say, oh, so if more kids come from my town, my share could adjust, but if fewer kids come, the share could drop. When this evening, when we've been talking about seats and apportionment, we base it off of a town's 8th grade population. And so that's what really the fluctuation that can be built into this. So there's probably a way to explain that in fewer than 1,000 words, but we are addressing it with great specificity so it's clear in the regional agreement how exactly this would be calculated. And it spells out that, if I was summarizing it, I'd say over time, it's based on a 4-year rolling average. Fixing it is a concern to most of my member communities because no one can guarantee the exact share. And so when someone's paying 21% with only 16% in the building, that gets old very quickly. And so we've created this flexibility. We don't want volatility 1 year at a time. Oh, there's a big crop. But a 4-year rolling average massages those numbers out. And that was met with unanimous support when we changed that a year ago.
Is the construction project going to be managed by a building committee by the member towns, or how's that?
Yeah, typical MSBA project in the sense that there's a required school building committee, which we've had in place now for a couple of years, going through feasibility, et cetera.
Okay,
and the eventual, just to quickly comment on governance, our regional school committee is an appointed regional school committee. The select board in each community appoints one member. It's one town, one vote, 3-year term, appointed by the select board.
Good.
And there might have been in terms of when we're done paying off everything, what's the deal with the share? If we continue to base everything on proportional enrollment, then that will not change. It truly will fluctuate based on, is there a spike or a dip in enrollment in the given community?
Thank you.
Thank you
Sorry,
for
your
the
first question? Sir?
Regarding
I think
Silver
you asked
Lake.
if there was a penalty, right? If there was going to be a penalty to
Yeah.
get out of our current agreement?
We don't have
Silver Lake.
There is
I'm
no
sorry.
current agreement, so there's no penalty because there's no current agreement. We don't belong to any other district, it's just Pembroke.
Thank you, because we don't like surprises.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I've got two questions for you. Sorry, people, if you were hoping to get in front of me. The first one is, so there's a building committee that has a member of the select board of each town on it. Is that right? Did I understand?
A regional school committee?
Yeah.
Where there's one member from each town.
Yeah.
Appointed by the respective select boards.
Okay. Who is our? Do we have?
We're not
that
a
person?
member yet. When you're a member, you get a seat at the table.
Okay. All right. And the other question I was going to ask you is, so I think Bill said it's just under 11% is our share of the build.
Just over 10.
10.17%.
Just over 10.
Just over 10. Okay. Is 84 just over 10% of your student population? Because I think that addresses the question that came from
The number, the 10% is what we would be projecting over time.
Okay.
We're a school right now of just under 700 students.
Right.
There is no way that, and I've said this in many forums as we were going towards the project, just going back to the operational piece. Could we put 900 kids in a building the next day because of interest? Absolutely. Is it affordable? Absolutely not. It is going to take a responsible and targeted ramp up of increasing operating budget. So if we get to 900 students, the 84 that we're all talking about, all of the town's numbers would actually get to increase proportionally. But right now, if we're using today's numbers, that's what you're hearing. You're hearing a number that's slightly, 84 would be slightly over the 700 or so students we have. So we can't predict what the future trends will be. But if we could become a school of 900, and I told you that Pembroke was about 10% of that, that would be 90. So we're dealing with, we can only use the numbers that are like right in front of us, but if folks know that it's in proportion, that's the model we've used with our towns for years.
The question was, are we going to see proportionate spend and students?
Yeah, I'm happy to say we're one of actually the few vocational schools in the Commonwealth that actually apportion seats. Most of the schools don't have an apportionment. I've always felt that it gives each community a clear return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
There's I pay for this building. I want my zip code to have some access, as opposed to one big bucket. So that's worked for us for decades, and I see that continuing.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the answer. Any other questions? No? I know you've got some questions, but okay, so let's wrap this up. We can get out of here earlier than we anticipated. I want to thank all of our panelists. Sorry, Melissa, you only got to ask that one question, but Melissa Hooley, Sue Bollinger, Bill Chenard, Aaron Obi, Paul, you can pronounce it, Villela, and Tom Hickey. Appreciate you coming, and thank you very much for a round of applause, I think, for our panel.
Thank you.
Just a quick note also, we should say thank you to the local scene for broadcasting this. And we never actually mentioned the techs that are doing all the work. Keith is our cameraman. Chris is the audio. He's not going to come out and say hi. Chris has been great. He does all of the audio editing in the audio suite when we're doing the weekly podcast. So Chris and I get to know each other quite well. So I want to thank you two for your time and doing what you do. And thank you all for coming, and thank you for everybody. I don't know where the camera is. Oh.
And thanks to the chamber for hosting.
Yeah, thank you.